Yo, what up? Welcome to Arctic View. I am Josie, and today I'm going to talk to you about what kind of books I read during the autumn months. So September, October, and November, and I have 6 books for you all. And let's start with, I would say, the most popular one, and that's Rainbow Rowell's Any Way the Wind Blows. This is the 3rd installment from the Simon Snow series, and I would say that I think I like this the best because the first book was very much Harry Draco meta thing, just poking some fun about those fics. I would say the second book was Rainbow Rowell trying to find her own way. And now with this, I feel like this is like a full new world with great characters. It's so fast, it's so snappy. I absolutely love it. I found it very interesting that the main premise of it is that there's a new chosen one, and not only does Simon find it great, he also thinks that he should follow the chosen one, or that the chosen one has some type of role for him, but he's just trying to find himself, and it's so good. It's so good. I love Baz here. Baz is definitely my favorite character. He's such a supportive boyfriend. Penny and Shepard are very good together. Agatha, wow! What happens to Agatha? She really finds herself here. I'm amazed. She's not just somebody thrown there, but an actual full-fledged character who finds herself. That's so great. I absolutely love it. If you haven't started the series, or if you were kind of doubtful after the first book, I stick with it. It's so good. So yes, this was definitely my favorite book I read during these months, and check it out. The second book I want to talk to you about is Seven Devils. This is your good old sci-fi book, but all the characters except for I think 2 are women, and it doesn't feel forced. It just feels like a story, like people who are in space are not all supposed to be men, they can be women. There's an interesting storyline, not anything like too great or too like super imaginative, but it's done well. It keeps your interest. You can kind of see where it is going, but you don't mind that it's not that surprising. There are a lot of great characters here. I am rooting for all of them, and yes, basically there are 7 devils, 6 different women, 1 man, who find themselves up against all of the universe and how they handle it. I like it a lot. I definitely want to read the second book. Now, for something more history connected, it's Sea People, The Puzzle of Polynesia by Christina and Thompson. And it's not a history of Polynesia, but it's more like trying to make sense how people in Polynesia got there. If you haven't heard or are not familiar with Polynesia, then basically it's the area of islands that's between Hawaii, Easter Island, and New Zealand, and it's all the same culture, or similar culture, similar language, similar people, and this book tries to trace how they got there. It's chronological in a sense that it starts with Western people getting there, finding out that all these people seem somehow connected, and then different kinds of ideas, thoughts that people came up with, how they got there. And if you've been here for some time, you should know that I absolutely love Kon-Tiki. It's one of the books that got me into history. The whole experiment of taking a raft and well, not really driving it, just sailing with it to Polynesia to prove that Polynesian people came from South America. Turns out to be a lie. I'm I almost cried when I found out that it's a lie, that people actually came from Eastern Asia. And I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted because it was such a nice story, such a great story. But anyway, it's still very impressive how they came to live in on all of these islands. And like I said, it's chronological, so it starts with Western explorers getting there and trying to figure it out. Then it turns to people themselves who lived there, who studied anthropology. And then finally, in the second part of the 20th series, they ran a bunch of computer simulations to see like how all of this was populated, all these islands. Was it just an accident or was it intentional? So this is really good. I loved it. Oh, I love history so much. It shocked me. It was well done, and I learned a lot. Now, the second history book that I read was How Was It For You? And it's by Virginia Nicholson, and I have read one book by her before, and that was about women in 50s. This is continuation of it, and it's about women in 60s in England. It looks at different women, young, old, religious, non-religious, people who were involved in the hippie scene, actresses, just regular housewives from sailing towns, just an array of different people, and it's done so well. She has a really great gift of just weaving everything together, and it goes chronologically, so 61, 62, and it's seamless. It's done so well. It's very grassroots history. It tells the story about the 60s through people and through their experience, and oh, I love it. It's so good. And I was very surprised because as you all know, during the 60s the pill came and it was all free love and hippies, but you would think that it meant that it was emancipation for the women. No, it seems like it actually kind of got worse because there were no societal like norms or breaks to protect women. A lot of young women really suffered through it. It was very misogynistic in a lot of different areas during that time. So free love meant that the ones who had to take the pill were the women, and they were left just, I don't know, hanging there. But yeah, it's quite serious, but it's also quite good. I would say that the only thing that I didn't like about it is that, in my opinion, there were not enough pictures. I know it feels like silly because why would you need pictures? But it's almost 500 pages, and there are pictures here, but I think that the last one had a bit more pictures. I would like to visually see something more, because like I said, I think there are like well over 150 recollections or women's stories here. I would like to see something more. It's a history book, but it can have a few more pictures to illustrate it. I love it. I hope she has time to write a book about the 70s and 80s, because it really makes me look at the history and women's lives in it through a completely different mirror, or completely different lens. I like it a lot. If you like history, if you like women's history, definitely check her out. And the last book I read, I actually started this a year ago, but I finished it now. It's Loveless by Alice Oseman, and I absolutely loved her radio silence. I know she has written a few more books, but I picked this up because it was on the topic of asexuality, and I would say it's a pretty good depiction of it. The only thing is that it's a young adult book, which means that the character is, I think, 16, 17, and she goes to college with her two best friends. She gets a few more friends there, and she kind of navigates through dating and trying to like boys, trying to like girls, and finally admitting to herself that she doesn't really like anyone sexually, but she still wants to be in a relationship. She finally finds out who she is. I think that it does a good job about explaining what are all these different labels that we use. So aromantic, asexual, whatever the spectrum is, because the A spectrum is big. There are so many different types. I think this does quite a good way of explaining it. And I think the character herself is quite likable, and I enjoy the Shakespeare society going on that they try to put on a play. I enjoy all of that, but I do feel like it was maybe some of the things hit too close to home, so that made me feel a bit like uncomfortable reading it. But that's my problem. That won't be your problem. But yes, it's quite good, but I wouldn't say it's the best depiction of asexuality that I have seen. But as for labels, I think this is quite good and most up-to-date out of the young adult books that I have read on this topic before. Wow, that was long. These were the books I read. Give me a second. Okay, these were the 6 books I read. That's quite many pages, but I'm still so behind. Anyway, which one did you find the most interesting? Have you read any of these? Have you liked them? Did you agree with my assessment of it? Or whatever else you want to say? Do leave a comment, leave a like if you liked, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm getting tired of holding it. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, get vaccinated if you haven't, don't catch a cold, and see you next time. Bye!